I welcome all the participants and good afternoon to all of you. And we shall be talking about the academic leadership as was discussed as one of the important themes in our NEP programs. The basic idea is that we shall be properly, I can say, guided, and we should properly understand the dynamics of academic leadership. You know that we should know about the nitty-gritties of academic leadership, and we should not have this kind of a confusion that since we are not holding any position in the institution, like for example, we are not the heads of the departments, we are not the deans, and so on and so forth. So normally a kind of a confusion that we have in our mind is that academic leadership belongs to the ones who are holding such kinds of key positions in the academic institutions. That's not in fact the fact. The fact is that when it comes to academic leadership, all of us as faculty members, we are all leaders, we're all academic leaders in our own perspectives. Our roles might change from being teachers, from being faculty members, to being the coordinators, or to being the heads of the departments, or to being the deans of the schools, and actually any other academic position in the university. What's important and essential for all of us is that we should be well versed with what this leadership is all about. It's not something that will come off of its own. Again, a big misnomer that we have is leadership will come to us once we occupy a chair, then it will come to us. We will get to know how to do the things, what to do, and how to do it. But that's not that easy. Leadership is not, definitely not that easy. It's a very Herculean task. It's very difficult unless and until you have a proper understanding of what leadership is all about, and specifically with reference to the academic institutions. It's important for us to know about. And also, one thing that I would like to share with you is that if you are holding a position, since I am now in the profession for more than 3 decades, that means I have had, already experienced it, being head of the department, the dean of the school, director here and there. So all that basically has given about that. I am from the field itself. I'm teaching the subject of emotional behavior. I'm teaching the subject of human resource management, very critical, important subjects that deal with leadership and many other similar kinds of concepts. So I think that we can interact in a very good, engaging session on academic leadership with this in mind, that we should know about how to proceed on as good and effective academic leaders. That is something that we have to have in mind. And other than this, I would like to share with you that if it was so easy, for example, if suppose the kind of understanding that we have about academic leadership, that it will come of its own, then be sure that University Grants Commission would have not roped in some prestigious management institutions only to basically provide leadership training to the sitting vice chancellors. Imagine a while that you've got a vice chancellor whom you find is the one who has reached to the highest seat of learning as in terms of academia, in academic leadership, or in academic institutions, being a vice chancellor of a university. Still for them, the University Grants Commission has roped in some prestigious management institutions, both in public as well as only to provide and develop the leadership skills in the already, I can say, academic leaders. So that signifies that how important it is, and it's something that will come of its own. And again, in certain cases, we got the misnomers that we should be technically sound. Academic leaders should have a technical knowledge, technical know-how. Okay, that's fine. But apart from technical know-how, the analytical know-how, the conceptual know-how, the behavioral know-how, attitudinal know-how, how to deal with the people, interpersonal relations, how to deal with the fellow workers, and we can say faculty members, how to deal with the deans, how to deal with the heads of the departments, because they're all very sensitive class, how to deal with, and where to lose, and is it that we shall be always losing our temper, how to control our temper, how to control our emotions in order to be successful and effective leaders. That plays a very significant role in making us as good, sound, and healthy and academic leaders. That is something that we shall be talking about today, that what we should have to be good and effective academic leaders. So I will share my own experiences. I will share the experiences that I have gained from others, so that you turn out to be very effective, very, I can say, competent academic leaders in the times to come. So we begin with our slides. We start sharing them also with you. I hope that they are visible to you and you are hearing me. Is it so? Are you
Yes,
hearing me?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's fine. So I'm audible as well. The point is basically that when it comes to a leader, we're discussing and we shall have to discuss academic leader. But we won't be able to understand an academic leader until we know the general definition of the leader, who the leader is. Normally, we say that there is always a difference between a manager and a leader. We have to bear in mind. In most of the academic institutions, we will find managers, not the leaders. There is a perceptible change in the way both function, in the way they work. Managers are simply the ones who are routine people and who are to look into whether the things are being done as planned. Are they being done as planned? For example, classwork is being done on time, exams are being held on time, every teacher goes to the class on time, and the syllabus is completed on time. All these things are the very routine kind of things. And if a person in an academic institution, who is the head of the department, who is the head of the institution as such, if he is just after these things, he is discharging managerial functions or activities, not leadership functions and activities. Leadership is altogether different than being simply a manager. So therefore, we need to have a proper understanding that if we are coordinators or heads of the departments or we are holding any other position in the academic institution, how are we running? Are we following? Are we doing it routine kind of activity? Are we just focused on that, or we go beyond that? The moment you go beyond that, that basically would reflect a kind of a leadership skill in you, and that's what we shall have to discuss today. How will that come? Why we have got the people, some people shirking the responsibility of taking over as leadership roles, and who is an academic leader when he becomes an academic leader? So all that we shall discuss in the course of today's session, and hope you enjoy it, and hope you'll be very engaged and will be interactive as well. The first thing that we may discuss about is that a leader is an individual who influences others to willingly work towards shared goals by providing direction, meaning, and motivation rather than relying solely on formal authority. Which is why we have to be very careful about that. Formal authority could be, for example, you have taken a class on time, you have conducted the internals on time, you have submitted the attendance of the students on time, you have conducted the exams on time, you have set the paper and all that, you have done the evaluations. A formal authority will surely work on these things. But academic leaders are supposed to provide, if not academic, here we talk about the leaders. For the attainment of the shared goals, they have to provide direction, meaning, and motivation, inspiring. The role of a leader is inspiring. That's why he is differentiated from a manager. He is not like a manager. His role has to be inspiring, motivating. And that's why we say that the key things that we find in I can say, a leader is that he influences. He's not always with a stick in hand. Rather, he is so motivating, so inspiring by his deeds and by his words and actions that everybody gets influenced and inspired by. He has to have that personality who is not always falling back on the formal authority. And normally, we find also in the academic institutions, heads of the departments do not have that too formal authority to enjoy or to make use of. Rather than they have to necessarily stick to influences, and rather than being coercive, have to try to influence. Shared goals would be there, direction and purpose has to be there, and voluntary commitment. That you are not by force being asked to do the things, but but a kind of a voluntary commitment is created among us, the followers. How many of us do it that way? Can anybody tell me that how many of you are already the heads of the departments or coordinators or holding any academic position? Can you share that with me, please? Anybody who is right now the academic leader in terms of, I am saying that all teachers are academic leaders. Apart from that, anybody who is holding any position, anyone who is holding any position, would you like to share? Anyone who is head, a coordinator? Are you hearing me? Yes, we have 42 participants, or maybe a few are from office, and I'm included.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Swati Tiwari, I am just asking that if any one of you, the participants, is holding any kind of a chair right now, being a head or a coordinator, and so on and so forth. If anyone is there, might just share, might say yes.
No, sir.
No, probably not. There is nobody responding to. But I'm sure that you have got the mics on and you're just, I mean, listening me. And it's not a one-way kind of a thing. It's not a monologue, but you will also share your thoughts on. That's very important and very essential. We proceed on with what is an academic leader. Most important thing is that an academic leader has to have the what is called intellectual credibility, ethical conduct, and collegial engagement to advance teaching, research, societal development. Very essential and very important. That you ought to have that intellectual credibility. You know that this is the first thing. A scholar and teacher first. You should be a scholar. You should be a teacher first. You should be able to do justice with the subject that you are dealing with, because you join the academic institutions as faculty members. And the first and foremost thing that we should have is that we are intellectually very credible. We know our subject well. We have a currency of a subject. We deliver very relevant content in the classroom. And so if we are bereft in any way in this regard, we don't have, it means that we lose that what is called the what you can say claim for to becoming academic leader. The first and foremost thing that we should basically focus upon is our intellectual credibility and ethical conduct. So it means that you have to have commitment, you have a very collegial kind of and a participative kind of a governance as a leader. Keep this in mind. This will pay in the long run. If you're not heading the departments, I'm sharing my own experience that you can make a department a hell or you can make a department a heaven. It's your deeds, it's your way of dealing the things. So is the case you as an academic leader in a classroom. You can make it as a hell, you can make it a heaven. If you are just every time posing questions to the students, you are disturbing them every day. You have to create a very inspiring atmosphere in the classrooms that the students who are otherwise not willing to share their thoughts or not willing to participate, they should participate. They should come forward. They should feel like participating in the classroom discussions. That is what is your academic basically credential. That is what is basically your academic leadership skill. So if in case you go to a class and students get kind of bored or they get kind of intimidated or they feel that this teacher is very critique, captious minded, snubbing, criticizing, that means that you are actually doing a great injustice or disservice in the classroom. The most important thing that you should always carry is that very smiling face, very inspiring one, a very motivating one, where everybody would like to participate in the classroom discussions, rather than the discussion getting confined to a few students alone. They might be themselves very proactive and they may be getting engaged, but your job as an academic leader is that every one of you should in fact get involved in. I was talking about the head of the department in particular. Once you take over, always keep in mind a very collegial and a participative governance system. that you should not ignore some and you should take into confidence a few only. Have everybody taken on board in order to make the system, in order to make your department a heaven rather than a hell. This is what we are witnessing. We are witnessing it, that the heads of the departments, they feel that they can run the show by being good with one and not with others, being discriminatory. This is something, this path has to be shunned. This is why we find the departments have got lots of toxic kind of cultures in existence, because there is a discrimination, there's no fair play, there's no transparency. This is something you have to act as an academic leader, and that is possible only once you are very collegial and participate. Your governance system is like that, you take on board everybody. This is happening at a, I can say, not only at a unit level, a department level, even at the university level also. You'll find in most of the cases, in most of the universities, that vice chancellors do act as dictators, and they have just a few coterie, yes men coterie around them, and they function and they carry on. With that, the universities do not flourish. They will never. So is the case with the departments and colleges. Always keep in mind a very collegial and a very participative governance system that will help, to make the workplace a heaven and a very healthy and effective one. And also, you will be taken in a very high esteem, and we can say you will be taken in with a very high value to run the show properly. You know that when it comes to the academic leader, naturally, academic leader, as I said, one is that you are exercising and you are discharging responsibilities as a routine manager, looking at some of the routines of the department. The other way is that you are very disciplined and very inspiring as well, very innovative as well, very transformational as well, doing things which are out of box. You have your own mind to apply, and that is how that will help your institution to grow in a much better way. But when it comes to a corporate leader has got some specific objectives to achieve, which are totally different from you as an academic institution or a leader of an academic institution. Your role is serving the society. Corporate leaders are in a different way, but your ultimate goal is that you are the nation builder. You are building the nation. You are giving in return something to the society. Yours, I can say, product is a student. How you shape a student, how you make that product, and how fruitful it becomes for the society. That is the time will tell about that what kind of a product have you groomed and framed for to take the benefit, to give the benefit rather to the society. And a corporate leader is always concerned with position. He is concerned with the performance and results. There are results, and results are in terms of the market growth, in terms of the profitability, in terms of, I can say, maximization of the shareholders' worth. That is what a corporate leader has to do into. Yours is very different, a kind of a role to play as a teacher, as an academic leader, which is not earning profit, because yours is not a commercial activity, an entity, especially if you are in the government sector. And even if you're in the private, it's indicated that your job is not primarily, to earn, but it does not mean that you have not to earn. That is a different subject to be discussed, because if you are running any kind of a show, normally not necessarily to be a philanthropist, but with some objective, and by and large, the objective of running the private institution would be to earn some profit as well, because you're investing money. In rare of the rare cases, it could be the case where you would wish that you run your academic institution in a private capacity on no profit and no loss basis, which very rarely possible. And but the thing is that you have to always keep in mind that if you're in the business or if you are in academic institution or an academic, I can say, organization, always you have to keep in mind what you give to the society through the students. Now again, academic leadership, as we talked about, has to influence the minds. And there are some important non-negotiable credentials that every one of us, whether we are the a teacher simply, or we are the heads of the departments, or we are holding any kind of a position in a department concerned. These are some of the credentials which are a must for every one of us, irrespective of the level that we are holding. For example, academic credibility. As I stated, that the first and foremost thing is our focus on academics, or focus on knowing about the subject, knowing the subject that I'm discussing, or that I've taken up for teaching purposes. Academic credibility, doing research on, searching out and identifying the socially relevant problems and issues which are somehow connected to your area of subject. That will further strengthen your understanding of the subject and will also be of benefit. Then you are not just there in the classroom discussing the subject and winding up the syllabus, completing the syllabus, but you are taking it to a newer height. You are taking it to the society, looking at what are the issues in the society that are somehow connected to my area of specialization and interest, so that I can work on and I can come up with some solutions to those particular issues. Then ethical integrity, moral capital, is very important. That is something which is a must for every teacher, particularly. Then commitment to students and learning. Again, your commitment to students. What are you giving to the students? That's very essential. And how students do get benefited from your contribution. Then collegial respect and peer acceptance, as I say, that again, we have got the issues with academic institutions, people not seeing eye to eye with each other, though being intellectuals, very pitiable kind of condition that we have. I have seen it long back when other institutions where I was pursuing my PhD, then back in my own university. So this is something that's very much happening. We don't have a peer acceptance. We may have differences, but it should not basically be at the cost of respect and honor that we should have for others. Emotional maturity and self-regulation. Again, a very key, one can say, element when it comes to the leadership, emotional maturity and self-regulation. How much emotionally mature you are and how much you regulate your own emotions. Very essential, very important. Some of the we call them as, are you hearing me? Somebody's mic is on.
Yeah, sir. Please continue. Sorry for interruption, sir. Please continue.
So, okay, please. Now, when it comes to academic credibility, we say that is the first gatekeeper. Strong subject mastery, that if you're not strong in the subject that you're dealing with, probably you have no moral authority to take up the academic assignments. But unfortunately, is happening that those who have failed in the classrooms are aspiring to become the coordinates, to become the head, to become the to aspiring for academic positions, which is something very serious, a kind of a concern. That first and foremost, we should work on our subject, recognize teaching expertise and competence, and research engagement. As I said, that we should always try to extend our teaching to research to society that is related to my own area of subject. Why it is critical? We know that faculty do not follow authority. They follow intellectual credibility. They have to follow that. Without this, leadership becomes administrative, not academic. So if you don't have the academic credibility, you are not an academician then. You, if at all, get any kind of position, that is simply administrative. So leadership here becomes administrative rather than academic, because unless and until you have a proper understanding of the academics, the subjects that you deal with, you have to have a proper, knowledge of your own subject that you're dealing with, currency of the ideas, the currency of the subject, currency of the contents, that enhances your credibility as well. And that's what is something very essential and important in any academic institution. So if you're bereft of all this and you're aspiring for becoming a leader, that means you could be simply an administrator rather than an academic leader. Then again, ethical integrity, we say the fairness evaluation. Now again, we have got issues with the evaluation. Look, for example, in my own university, there is a system that has been put to practice from several years now, that once you upload your marks on the university portal, the student gets to know about the marks that he has got. But there is a fairness in play. And that fairness is that if a student is not satisfied with the marks given to him or her by a teacher concerned, she can complain before the teacher concerned. And after discussing the answer script with the teacher concerned, if a student is not again convinced, for example, with the marks that were given to him, he can approach the head of the department. From there, he can approach him to the dean if he is not satisfied with the head of the department. And in fact, the last is the Dean Academic Affairs in the university setup. That where if you feel that fairness has not been, the evaluation has not been fair, these are the steps that you can take in order to get justice. We have to basically have this kind of a system, where a student is able to complain for the marks that he has got or she has got. If he or she feels less marks have been given to, some other is given high marks. These things do happen in academic institutions. This is not something anybody can do. We are trying to have all the foolproof systems. Still, there could be grievance on the part of the students, and they have to be properly addressed. And as teachers, the first and foremost responsibility on our shoulders is that we bring in that what is called fairness in, and we don't have favoritism, pressure, or politics involved in the system. Likewise, commitment to students and learning. A true academic leader is student-centric. He will always be. He will never snub. He will never criticize. He will never be captious-minded. He will not intimidate a student. He will be always student-centric. And he would always like that a student should understand things properly. I should have empathy for and with the students. And if they have got any kinds of genuine issues, they should deal and discuss with you. That's why your mentorship role comes. You are not simply there for the completion of a syllabus. Go beyond that. Look at the various difficulties and issues students are facing, the challenges that they are facing nowadays, and look at them. And then on top of that, you're trying to be intimidating, then anything is possible to happen. Be as good a mentor as possible. Look at them as your own children. Look how you are trying to mentor your own children. Give a space to them. Give a say to them. Seek their inputs on issues of relevance. And where you find that they have got any difficulties, do address them. Act as mentor for them. Institutions exist for leaders, learners, not for administrators. NEP 22 expressly centers education around learners. That's why we have got, the system that is now in vogue under NEP, that you can get a certificate, you can get a diploma, you can get a graduation. There are multiple entry and exit points only to facilitate learning. You know that otherwise a student was there to be, for example, to be there in the classroom only, and for 3 years, 4 years, you have to necessarily attend the college in order to get the degree. But in case there is any urgency, suppose if a student had some urgency, financial urgency especially, and or he or she got an opportunity somewhere immediately after 1 year or so, he had no possibility earlier on. Under NEP, there is this kind of this kind of a system or this kind of a rule where a student can take a year off or 2 years off and come back after some time, so we can meet or she can meet the financial urgency as well. And otherwise, we would have had so many, and we do have lots of dropouts from the colleges only because they have got some financial urgency, and since they cannot take the year off, they cannot continue after a year or 2 years. So it means basically the NEP is basically trying to be and is actually more focused on learners. What is the learner's choice? So that that choice is basically met. And this is how we should always ourselves also examine and re-examine that we are in this setup for a pretty long time. Especially this could be a little bit difficult and challenging for the ones who are in the profession for a pretty long time. For them to adapt to this kind of a change might be a bit difficult in the initials, but this is what they have to be, because we know that change is the only thing which is very constant. So teachers cannot go with the old age practices and say, take pride in them, that they are the best, they were the best, we shall continue with them. Things are changing. We have to address and accept the urgencies of our students as well, their choices as well, their discretions as well, and then accordingly try to mold the things. And so NEP has been explicit in providing, I can say, or in being, I can say, learner-centric rather than administrator-centric. Then, as I said, that we have got lots of issues of this sort, where we find that there is no respect for academic freedom, ability to listen and disagree civilly. That's very important. We should develop this kind of a system. You know that in departments, we do find that teachers do quarrel, they do clash with each other, they take cudgels with each other. Even it goes beyond the four walls of the rooms, it goes out in the departments. We have seen it happening, and it is something that I'm witnessing, and could be the case in other academic institutions as well. And then on top of that, having students around you, what is the kind of a respect and regard they will have for us as teachers? And inside, if you are disagreeing on things, you have to be very civilized in your disagreement, rather than, I mean, resorting to any kind of yelling and mean disrespecting others, which is very unfortunate. Willingness to work through committees. Again, I'm telling you, this is what is collegial respect and peer acceptance, that you don't take a decision of your own alone, but you have got your peers, you've got your fellow men. They are also involved in various decisions, because department does not belong to you as head of the department. If you turn out to be head of the department tomorrow, it's not you, it's the department of everyone. Every member is running the department. Suppose you are a teacher, simply you are running it, you are going to the class, which is one of the important essential activities of any academic institution. You are discharging it, you are a member of a committee, but on times you're not taken on board for any decisions. That means there's a simple token involvement which have to be done away with. We have to keep in mind these things are essential. This respect is given by involving people around. Very recently, one of the heads of the departments in our own university, he took over as head, and immediately he started with one workshop without taking any senior person on board. Unfortunate, very unfortunate, that you can do things, of course, okay, you can do things of your own, but doesn't mean that you have to ignore your senior members in the department. Keep that in mind. That's very essential, that's very important. Likewise, emotional maturity and self-regulation. You know that Daniel Goleman, he has written a book on the emotional intelligence, has worked very strongly on this emotional stability and emotional maturity and emotional intelligence. He conducted research. Initially, it was all theoretical, and subsequently, he conducted research on emotional intelligence of blue chip companies. And he just tried to narrow down the contribution of emotional intelligence in the profitability of the firm, in the performance of the firm. So what he did was that he took samples from managers, and he found that managers who were high on emotional intelligence but low on intelligent quotient. What was their organization doing? How was the performance of their organization? Those managers who were high on emotional intelligence but a little low on the intelligence quotient, and then again made a comparison of these firms with the firms where the people who were low in emotional intelligence but high in intelligence quotient. Now this is what it is, that emotional intelligence plus being high but low on intelligence quotient, those firms outperformed the firms which had otherwise leaders who were intelligent, their intelligent quotient was high, but they were emotionally not that high. Imagine, this is practical, how they have found it. So this is something that we have to care for. Keep in mind that we should be emotionally very balanced, very strong. Self-regulation has to be there. We should know who we are. We should control our nerves, control our emotions. That's which will actually help us in being good academic leaders. Otherwise, it's impossible to turn out to be good academic leaders. We have lost that patience, that tolerance, forgiveness for others. We are always, I can say, stick to vengeance, always stick to revenge. We have to take from others. So we have to come out of this mindset. We have to be very balanced and emotionally very strong and emotionally very matured. And we have to always control our ego. That's very important. I am head of the department. I've got some ego. I'm better than others. Let's have a feel that I'm one among us the others. Because in academic institutions, it's a matter of seniority. For example, in my own department, we have right now 6 to 7 professors. Imagine 6 to 7 professors. And out of these 6 to 7 professors, 6 have already been heads of the departments of the department concerned. 3 have already been deans as well, themselves occupying good chairs, now being simply as professors in the department. Now, how should the head of the department act and react with them? It's a big challenge otherwise. It's not like, for example, in any other, I can say, institution, any other sector, you will find if a person is there and he is a superior to others, he will continue to be superior of others. And once he gets an, I can say, promotion, he moves to another department or other organization, another department. Here is not the case. If you are heading a department, you know it for sure that if you have completed your term, you will be one of the professors like others in the department concerned. So therefore, you have to always keep in mind to control your egos. And that ultimately will pay for a very smooth, a very collegial and respectful atmosphere in the organization. Controlling your own emotions. Academic environments are ego dense and autonomy driven. We know emotionally immature leaders create toxic cultures. We have seen it, we have observed it. This might be happening in your departments as well. That's why I said that should you actually be making your institution a joyful one, a happier one, a better one, through your, I can say, credentials, through your behaviors, through your interpersonal relations, or you should make a very toxic, I can say, department where you will not see eye to eye with other persons, where you take resort to egos and you have got things like blah blah, so that it only you are creating a kind of a hellish situation rather than making it a kind of a heaven. You know that a good amount of time we're spending in the of our active life is being spent actually in the departments that we serve. See that how you, when you enter the department, when you leave the department, how much of your active life, of your total life is actually being, I can say, spent in the departments with other colleagues, and not respecting them, not regulating our own emotions, will simply mean that we'll be always at loggerheads with them. We'll be always taking cudgels with them. We have to be careful about all these things. These seem to be very minor, but believe me, they are very major. They have got huge important implications in the departments. It does tell upon the students as well. You won't be thinking out of box. You won't be thinking, we can say, seriously, and you won't be thinking for the good of the department as such. Will always be stuck to this kind of revenge, taking revenge, and being at loggerheads with others. We have to come out of this, because the emotionally immature leaders will only, I can say, create a very toxic kind of a culture, and they can make a department a hell rather than a heaven. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay. This is my habit, sir, to
Yes, sir.
intervene and ask the participants whether they are hearing me or not,
Yeah, sir. Definitely, sir.
because that is required to
It is
make
very
them
much
alive.
required. It is very much required, sir.
Thank you, sir. So then, when it comes, as I said that earlier on, non-negotiable credentials, which are for everybody. And then we have separate roles that we require for teachers, as academic leaders, as heads of departments, deans, vice chancellors. Many things that I shall be sharing with you are quite known to you. But what is important is that once we go on discussing, it refreshes our memory. It does bring a bit of a further jerk in us that we need to do it. This is something that we have been not now practicing. We may be knowing it, but we need to practice it. We need to do it. And if you continuously go on harping on these things, I'm sure they will become a kind of a practice. They'll become a kind of a routine for us. And that will make our life also very, I can say, ease. We will be living at ease in our workplaces, and so will be the case with others as well. This is my normal saying that once you take over any position, you should never think of taking a revenge from others, and not trying to do willingly something wrong with others. You know that we have got the people who are troublemongers, who have got this kind of a psyche that the moment you take over as any position in your departments or in your university, start taking revenge, start showing that I'm powerful. That's something which is very problematic. And that, you know, that if you're trying to do that, you will have every action will have equal or more reaction on the other side. If you do a damage to someone by 10%, possibilities that he might do it 15% or 20% or more. And so it will be a kind of a vicious circle that will be caught in. We will never come out of it. We will never think of the courses that we require to launch. We will never think of thinking out of box and discussing to how to improve our teaching methodology. What new to do for the students? What new to do for the, I can say, the department as a whole, or for the university as a whole? So those things would not be our priority. Our priority would surely be what? To be at loggerheads, to take cudgels with others, to create problems for others. And in turn, we will be caught in and will be trapped in and will have the problems to face. So anyways, I'm talking about now a role-wise most critical credentials that we have to have. Teacher as academic leader. As I said in the beginning also, all of us as teachers are academic leaders actually. It's not a must that we shall be holding some position first and then only can be called as academic leaders. Likewise, heads of the departments, deans, vice chancellors, these are some positions that we have in the universities. And you know that most faculty unconsciously do believes what leadership begins when I become an HOD or a principal. So what I have to do with it? This will come to me, as I said also in the beginning, that this will come to me of its own. I said it's therefore not surprising for you to know that you have got the University Grants Commission roping in some prestigious management institutions for the purpose of imparting training to the sitting vice chancellors about leadership. Then you know there are so many programs that have been actually, we can say, only kept for the capacity building and academic leadership. A good number of programs. And again, the University Grants Commission has given, I mean, a mandate to some MMTTCs, but largely this particular mandate goes to what is called the, it goes to actually the prestigious management institutions. So you have to be very careful on that, that how important it is that when it comes to the academic, when it comes to being, I mean, simple a faculty member, you have this in mind that I'm also a leader. Why, if you continue with this kind of a, for example, this kind of a notion or this kind of a belief, so if you carry on with this kind of a notion, it will only delay our leadership development. That's a big price that we'll be paying in the long run. That what I have to do with being an academic leader. I am simply a faculty. I don't have any important roles to play as a leader, but that should not be the kind of understanding. Keep in mind that academic leadership begins the day a teacher decides to take responsibility beyond the classroom, ethically, intellectually, and institutionally, which is very vital. Look at it, that academic leadership begins the day a teacher decides to take responsibility beyond the classroom. So classroom, you go in. So beyond that also, for example, being a member of a committee, being a coordinator of some I can say, committee or some event. You have to have, for example, all these things. So that is why you start, I can say, developing into yourself a leadership acumen, and you start developing leadership in you. And you should not shirk responsibility from being so, from taking such kinds of responsibilities. That's how we can grow into a good leader from the beginning itself. And that's why we say that when it comes, the role and responsibility comes on to the heads of the departments as well, the vice chancellor of the universities as well. That look, what happens normally is that a few of the people are put in, or they are being just, I can say, given the positions. They are being kept as members of the committees, coordinators, blah, blah, blah. And a good number of faculty members are simply being ignored. That should never be the case. The academic leaders, in real senses, who are holding the chair, who have got a power, like, for example, the vice chancellors, dean academics, you have got the registrars, etc., they should always look into developing, I can say, young faculty as leaders, tomorrow's leaders, and they should be given proper training. Proper training would be having them coopted in, having them as members of different committees, not token committees, really well involved committees where, people take decisions, they sit, they decide, they have what there be discussions. That's very essential, it's very important. So all be taken. It's not only a few. So that simply means that if you are as a leader, you have to have this in mind, that I should create future leaders. Future leaders will not come by or word of mouth. They will come by practice. Practice means that they are actually taken on board in committees. They are kept as members of the committees, and they discuss, deliberate. They take cue from the seniors, how they talk, how they discuss, what they discuss, and how shall we get prepared for the meetings and all that. Simply to tell you that when it comes to a teacher as a educator, beyond this classroom, he has to go. Classroom is not the only thing that he has to have in mind. Now, look at this aspect, that just you call any of your teacher who shaped your life. There must have been someone. What leadership qualities did you find in him, or did he show? There are two things involved in this particular point for the participants. One is that you just go back to a person who was responsible for what you are today. If you are holding any position, if you are a faculty member today, if you are a teacher, somebody might have played any kind of a role. So you recall that person, you get kind of emotional engagement. That you get emotionally engaged with that person, but he was the one who made me what I am today. And simultaneously, what leadership quality did he show? So it will be more important for you. What leadership quality did he show? What was something in him as a leader? For example, you find him that he was a very knowledgeable person. He was holding huge amount of humility, down to earth. For example, knowledgeable, very decent, man of integrity, man of honesty. Many things you may count on. This was there. He was very inspiring. He was very, we can say, keen to seeing me that I develop into a good human being. Anything that comes into mind that you see afterwards, that was a person whom you identify as a great teacher of yours, and these were some of the qualities. What is essential now when you use the word ownership of leadership? Here begins your leadership. It starts from here. If you find that somebody has shaped you and you have taken him as your mentor, he is your mentor, he is your model, he has got some credentials, he has got some qualities, and what you have to do is now, those qualities which actually made you as what you are today are the ones you should basically embrace. You should basically emulate. You should have in your own self. That is a great lesson. So it's not only to counting on somebody's credentials that helped you what you are, but it's equally and in fact more important that you copy them, you practice them, you emulate them, you practice them. If he was the man who was down to earth, he was a man who was knowledgeable, he was a man of integrity, And likewise, many other such credentials, you're counting on that person. Why shouldn't you have those? Why shouldn't you embrace them? Is a very practical kind of a question that you should pose to your own self in order to be a good academic leader, in order to you become likewise. That's very essential. That's very important. Likewise, look at the teachers. Is it a teacher who is basically there to influence the students, or it is the vice chancellor who is basically there to influence the students? A teacher or a vice chancellor?
Teacher.
Yes. Who is actually one who is influence the students in the classrooms? Is it a teacher or a vice chancellor?
Teacher.
A teacher is always there. So what does that indicate, therefore? The teacher is definitely an academic leader. Academic leadership is all about influence, influencing the minds, inspiring them. He is the one who is doing it. He is the one who on daily basis goes to the class rather than a vice chancellor going to the class. So it means that he has that. He has to show it. And that's why we say that teachers are actually the first academic leaders. Then teachers, academic leaders have to naturally have pedagogical leadership, ability to inspire learning, motivating them for learning. I said that a teacher can never be intimidating. A teacher has to be always and try to be always sober. A man, humility, a man of conduct, a man who has got a mastery over the subject. He is a mentor always, as we see that student mentorship important. Intellectual curiosity he has, and that brings that intellectual curiosity in the students as well. Because when you discuss things in the classroom, when you approach the students in the classroom, when you talk about the things in the classroom, when you show the currency, that has a lot of meaning for the students. That's what basically inspires them. Every faculty member is a leader by virtue of influence on students, intellectual authority in the discipline, role modeling, shaping academic culture. Authority may be positional, but leadership is relational and intellectual, which is very important. So we say that every faculty member is a leader by virtue of his influence on the students. He is influencing the students. You know that students who come to your colleges or to the universities, in fact, at times we see that they get more influence with us than with their own parents. What do you tell them? They come for guidance. They come for mentorship. They want you to tell them the truth. They want to see you owning them and helping them and guiding them and counseling them. That's why you become a leader there. You have that capacity and potential. You know, there were some studies conducted by Ohio State University and Michigan University on the leadership prospects. And both these universities, concurrently conducted the research, but neither of the two knew about the others conducting a research on a particular theme like leadership perspective. They just wanted one thing, that there was a lot that was being said and that continues to be said, and that is continuously, in the academic debate in academic circles. That is it the traits that play a role in a person being a leader, or it is basically the behavior that plays a role in making a leader a leader? Two important perspectives we have. One perspective is a trait perspective, the other one is what is called the behavioral perspective. These two universities, they conducted research and they just try to see what about the behavior, what kinds of behaviors are exhibited by highly successful leaders, what kind of a behavior is being, I can say, depicted by them. So that was basically a concern. There are some things, I think that somebody has written something. Just want to see that. what is in the chat box? No, there's nothing. Okay, okay. Okay, it was related to my being. Just I would like. So, anyways, so the point is basically the trade perspective and the behavior perspective. These two universities, Ohio State University and the Michigan University, they took up on their research, I can say, perspective of which one is it, the trade that plays a role, or it is the behavior that plays a role. Which one is important? And then trade sense is something that was being talked about by others, like great man theory and so on and so forth. But there was a very focused attention on behavioral perspective of leaders, how effective and successful leaders behave. And what they found is very interesting. What they found was that the Ohio State University, for example, found two important dimensions. So were the two dimensions identified by Michigan. And it was number one that they talked about was the consideration. Consideration. And also another important one that was initiating structure. Initiating structure. Initiating structure basically meant that a leader actually initiates a structure, and that initiating structure means he knows what is my role as a leader. Who am I in the department? Who am I in the organization? What is my role? And then it's but natural. If you know about your own role, you would be in a better position to identify the roles and responsibilities of your fellow men. If a leader is himself not aware of his own role, how can you expect him to identify the roles of others? When I don't know what I am to do as a head, as a dean, as anybody else, how is it possible that I would be in a better position, in the proper position to identify the roles and responsibilities of others? So the first thing that they found was it. The second thing that they found was consideration, that a leader is considerate, that he respects the feelings of others, the emotions of others. How many of us has got this kind of a temperament, that we're respecting the emotions and the aspirations of others, be it our students, be it our colleagues, staff? How we can say considerate we are towards them, how empathetical we are, how empathetic we are, how empathetic we are, how sympathetic we are towards them. So the idea is that a good leader behaves in this way, that he is number one, able to identify his own role and that of his own subordinates, and plus he has a consideration, he has a respect for the feelings and aspirations of his fellow workers. Likewise, the Michigan University also found number one dimension they found was the production-oriented leader and employee-oriented leader, akin to what the Ohio State University found. So if you talk about initiating structure, it basically means that identifying the roles and responsibilities for production, for productivity, for improving the productivity of the organization. So you have to have a concern. Ultimate is that you have to have a concern for both people as well as for production. So if a leader is just skewed towards one thing at the cost of other, then he's gone. He cannot be a successful leader. This is what this particular theory, this particular study has, these two studies rather have, I can say, found out. So leaders have to have sympathy towards their subordinates, and they should carry on with both in mind production as well as what is called the consideration, the employee orientation. Then, as I said, teacher acting as an academic leader, mentor students beyond syllabus. Again, do not keep in mind that the syllabus is the only job that I'm supposed to complete. It doesn't mean that it has not to be, but it is not to be a focal point. That's very strange. Even at a university level, we find students, teachers, I beg your pardon, having this kind of a feeling that they have to be focal on and they have to focus on the syllabic completion. They should go beyond that. Shape their attitudes toward research, ethics, and so on. Look at that aspect and try to shape of the overall personality of the students. Give sermons, give good speech in the classroom so that their mind changes for good, because they are the builders of nation. They have to go tomorrow as employees. They have to run their own businesses. Whatever, they would require your guidance at this point in time. Students, remember who guided them, not who administered them. You give a guidance to them. You did not just stick to the syllabus completion, but you just spared some time, boosted your morale and their confidence. And especially nowadays, it's so more relevance. You know that my fellow director would, corroborate with me that there is a lot of focus on mental health of the students, mental health of the teachers. So there has to be because people are caught in different kinds of issues, depressions, anxieties, and all that. And so, in the classroom setting as an academic teacher, you have every responsibility not to look only to complete the syllabus, but give some tips that can shape them up, that can build their morale, and that can ease them out, and that they can live a very comfortable and happy life, which is very essential. That's why, as a leader, an academic leader has to make the workplace a very joyful one, a joyful one. Then again, faculty as change agent. You know that ultimate, when it comes to NEP 2020, the implementation finally is to be done by a teacher concerned. And if they act as registers, then it's impossible that NEP could be put to use. Using it properly is always the job of a teacher concerned. How he takes it. Because we normally say that policies succeed or fail in classrooms, labs, and evaluation rooms. Otherwise, policy documents are okay. Not in policy documents. Policy is okay. NEP has got some reforms. Implementing them is the job of the teacher concerned. CBCS in implementation was again on the shoulders of the teachers concerned. Now we talk about outcome-based education. That what is this particular program given to the students? How is it market-oriented? How is it society-oriented? How is it going to benefit and help the society at large? How is it going to benefit a student himself or herself? What is the outcome of this particular course and program that we are? And then every program has got different courses that we deal with and that we teach. How these particular courses are relevant to the oral program. We have always got that mapping of the, I can say, the courses with the programs, course outcomes with the program outcomes. And we have to see that if there's a huge deviation, what is your course outcome? And if it does not match with the program outcomes, it means there's a huge deviation. You have to just try to plug that so that your course is in tune with the oral program outcomes, so that students do get something in concrete when they go to the market. Likewise, we talk about teachers as academic leaders, a critical reality often unspoken. Why? Not all faculty choose to lead. Common inhibitors include fear of additional responsibility. You know that there is, a kind of different feeling, as McGregor, one of the great management thinkers and scientists, he gave two theories, theory X and theory Y. He talked about theory X, and as per this theory, there is a managerial assumption, and that revolves around people being, I can say, people shirking responsibility, not willing to work, avoiding work. Assumptions of the managers. Why managers, X and Y. You give the theory name as theory X and theory Y, that they are the ones which is contrary to what the theory Y states. Here, the workers are willing to work, they want to take the responsibility. So in certain cases, what happens with us is also that because of the additional burden and responsibility, we want to do away with it. We want to just skip the additional responsibility. And in fact, that is also, we're not ready to be the leaders. Political claimants are like that. Excessive bureaucratization is there. seniority-based cultures are there. So it means that leadership potential is not, in fact, suppressed, but it is absent in the, I can say, organizations. It's often suppressed, but it's not absent. So it means that we don't give a way out to, because we are not ready in certain cases. And in certain cases, the context is not ready to accept us. The organization, the people are at the helm are not ready to accept us as leaders. So both possibilities are there. Sometimes we have got our own, deficiencies, and sometimes it is the context is the organization that you belong to, where it's not much encouraged. Now, how to develop faculty as a leader? What really works? Trust-based autonomy, which is very important. Recognition of informal leadership, academic freedom with accountability. It just reminds me of one of the vice chancellors of one of the universities in Hyderabad. He was a chairman of one of the NEP peer team that had a visit to our university long ago in 2011. And he shared it with one of my friends who were, from the university side in that team. And what he shared with him was that with a good number of other members as well, that when he said that when I took over as a vice chancellor of the university, I issued a circular that heads of the departments do not need to submit a proposal for purchase of anything to the registrar. They can directly, send it to me as a vice chancellor, and I will just approve, and you carry on with the purchase of the items and things like that. So that was a general circular for all the heads of the departments. He said that one of the heads of the departments from Department of Chemistry, he too moved a proposal, was some 10 to 12 lakh rupees. And I approved it straight away, instantly. But the moment I approved it, I was told by my own personal secretary and others as well, the registrar as well, so you know that he is the most corrupt we have in the university, and he should have not approved his case, because it had not to pass through anybody, it had to go direct to the vice chancellor. So since he had approved it, and he said, okay, no issues. If I approved it, no issues, don't worry. He will not do anything. He will not run away from. And he says that after, say, around 3, 4, 5 months, where when he came to know that all he has said that he has made the purchase and everything was done, and he asked his personal secretary to call that head of the department and tell him that the vice chancellor wants to meet him in his cabin, in the head's cabin. Let him be in the department along with some other faculty members of that department, so that we can have a chat and chickle. We'll sit together for a while. And so it happened. He did the same. He went there on a particular day at around 3, 4, he said, and every faculty member was there. They had a cup of tea, and once they done with the tea, and he asked the head of the department, okay, just show me the equipment that you purchased, show me the chemical that you have purchased and all that. And that was a time when the head of the department had fallen onto the shoes of the vice chancellor, saying that I'm extremely sorry, extremely sorry. He had made some corruption. He had not purchased what he had written that he has made purchases of. He thought that I will just run away. So here you have got a trust-based data. You are given autonomy. You can do the things, but then there is also accountability. So it means that it doesn't mean that you cannot give a person freedom, but also you have to have the checks and balances. Checks and balances are with you. How much innovative and how out of the box you think about the things and you practice them. So if you're a traditional one, and in traditional way, you go ahead and then you have got, for example, different ways of, making the purchases, and then you can just have the stock entries and all that. Here is a way out, absolutely a different one. And this is how you could catch the head of the department for making a corruption. So all this is very essential, it's very important in order to be the good academic leaders. Then teachers as academic leaders, what does not work normally, which we have to bear in mind? Excessive controls. So wherever you go on controlling the things by, I can say, fear or intimidation or authority, formal authority in particular, surely is not going to work for long. Likewise, if there are committees and they are simply token committees, and I have heard it and seen it that some of the heads of the departments do not take on board the members of the committees, but get their signatures as well. We become so lame ducks kind of people that we don't mind to, I can say, see to what has been purchased and why it has been purchased and why we're not taking on board. So go on. So there are token committee memberships, and it doesn't really work for the long, in the long run, ultimately. Then politicized promotions are always there. So again, we know that things are become absolutely wrong that way. The ones who don't deserve to be on chairs do get the chairs only because they've got some connections, and that's how it makes possible for them. And then once they occupy those chairs, they're not able to do justice with, naturally, because they've not reached to them those positions through a proper, I can say, protocol or a channel. They've just occupied them, and then the result is very much before us at times, that they're not able to do justice with those positions. They're not able to handle them properly. So ignoring faculty voice, again, it has become such kind of an atmosphere at places. If you wish to share some thing which is for the good of the institution with the higher authorities, they're not ready to accept it. They're not ready to listen to. So all these things are something which actually are not for the good and for the betterment of any academic institution. And then we have some ideal faculty leader profile. As they say, an effective faculty leader demonstrates intellectual honesty, commitment to students, collegial respect, ethical courage, continuous learning, and all these things are a must for an academic leader. And this is what is actually the actual ideal leader profile. Such faculty becomes institutional anchors. They become, everybody falls back onto those people. They're very transformational. They're liked by everyone. People get inspiration from them. They're heroes. They have got some charisma in the institutions. They become institutional anchors. Even without designations, they need not to be holding any position or power. But they, because of their, I can say that, credibility, because of their commitment to the cause, and because of their respect for the teachers and all that, because of all these different kinds of credentials, they are actually the institutional anchors. Everybody falling onto them, everybody getting inspired from them. And this is what you have to be like. This is what we have to be like. Always try to be like that. Especially I'm talking about the ones who are in the infancy of their careers as faculty members. Keep all these things, I mean, very close to their chest. Work on these things from today only. If you feel that you're lacking anywhere, try to build in yourself that this is something that I ought to be. This is something I should work for. This is something I have deficiency. It's not that big a deal. It's not that difficult a thing that cannot be done. All rests upon how much intent you have to be a very healthy, a very effective kind of an academic leader of tomorrow. So we say that faculty are the moral, intellectual, and cultural leaders of higher education institutions. And if faculty lead well, institutions flourish. And if faculty disengage, no amount of administration can compensate. You may have. So because ultimately the universities or the colleges are meant for the students. They're for the good of the students. And if a faculty disengages from, do not show that zeal and zest, that interest in their primary responsibility, in their primary work, then of course nothing is going to work. It's not that you will have a huge amount of money that could be pumped into the academic institutions that will work. They are not going to work. Is the engagement, is the interest the teachers have, the faculty has, the leadership has in building the institution. Therefore, we say that the future of Indian HEIs depends less on who occupies office and more on how faculty exercise leadership in everyday academic life. How you deal with the students, how you teach them, how much of currency of the subjects you have. And that basically will decide about the effectiveness of the academic institutions. And you know that if you got time, we have got this kind of an exercise in order for you to know your own academic, I can say, profile. It's all self-reflection or self-reflection scale on academic leadership. And if we have got some more time, if Atiq Saab is there. Are you there, please?
Yeah, yeah, sir. Yeah, yeah. Participant, you can please be responsive.
Yeah, I just wanted that if they can fill up this questionnaire or they can take a screenshot of it so that they get to know where they stand when it comes to their academic leadership credentials. It will be of their for their use, and they can just accordingly try to improve upon. They can take a screenshot of this only.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes. I have shared in our WhatsApp group, sir.
That's fine. Sorry. This is the second part of it. It's not second part. In fact, there are 21 items in total. There is a Likert scale given on the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that suggests that whether you strongly disagree, neutral, agree, or strongly agree. 5 is for strongly agree, and 1 is for strongly disagree. And I suppose that, sir, you have taken the screenshot of this as well. 11 to 21 items.
Yes, sir. I have taken and shared with the participants, sir.
Now look at this when it comes to how to proceed on with it. Pedagogical leadership is the first one, 1 to 5 items. Again, this screenshot can be taken of this, and it could be also shared with the participants.
Okay,
We have
sir.
pedagogical leadership, academic credibility and integrity, 6 to 9. Student mentorship, 10 to 12. Collegial and institutional leadership, 13 to 15. Emotional maturity, leadership orientation. And these are important, and you will just get to know that where you are lacking, where you have got a sufficient score. Since the scale is 1 to 5, so if you got a higher score, higher average score, that means that you are good on that particular dimension. Say, for example, pedagogical leadership, 1 to 5, 1 item to 5 items. That means a minimum score would be 5. Suppose if a teacher gives 1 to every item, so 5 items mean that he will get a total of 5. So an average of 1. And on the other side, if he gives suppose 3, 4, 5, 5, for example, if he gives 5 to all the 5 items of the first dimension, pedagogical leadership, then he'll get a total score of 25. It will be 5 minimum, 25 maximum. Therefore, those particular teachers who get suppose beyond 15, 17, 18, 20, 21, 23, 25, those who get about 20, that means they are high on it. Naturally, average high, 20 plus. The ones, it's the first one. Second one is 6, 9, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 4 items only. So here, minimum is 4, maximum is 16, 20. Maximum is 20. 5 into 4. It will vary from item to item. Since from dimension to dimension. Some dimensions have got 5 items, some dimensions have got only 4 items. 4 items mean a minimum score of 4 and maximum score of 5. So it goes like that. I suppose that I'm clear to you. Is it like that? If you've got any issues, please do share with. Likewise, emotional maturity, you have got 16 to 18. Look at it. Again, you find that 16, 17, 18, 16, 17, 18, 3 items are only there. A minimum of 3 and a maximum of 15. 5 into 3. See to it where your score lies. If your score lies beyond 12, it means that you are high on emotional maturity. If it is just low, it comes down to 4, 5, 6. It means that you have to work on it. So every dimension is there, and every dimension has got a minimum and maximum score. Look at it and see to it that where you stand in terms of the score that you get on an average, and then proceed on accordingly. Then if we move on to saying that heads of departments, you have most critical credentials, fair credibility, especially among senior faculty, conflict management ability, situational leadership, academic fairness, coordination without coercion. What is critical? Trust and balance, authoritarian control. No. Trust and balance is important. The critical is your trust and balance. So we say that we have got some critical, I can say, credentials for the heads of the departments, beginning with their credibility, especially among senior faculty, which is essential. Your credibility amongst them, and how your senior faculty is taking you, and how much of a conflict management ability you have that can resolve conflicts. You can address the issues of the students. You can address the issues of your own faculty members. That's very critical of you as a human being, as a head of the department. And if you are lacking in it, you're not able to address the grievances and the complaints and issues of the students. That means that you'll make a mess of things. Likewise, important is that situational leadership. You act according to the situation. There are three perspectives in leadership. One, we normally talk about trait perspective. The other one is the behavioral perspective. The third one is an important here, which is situational. We have so many others as well. Situational perspective, situational leadership. That what situation demands, you accordingly try to mold yourself. You cannot have a same kind of a rule for everyone. Rule, I'm not talking of rule, but the way you are dealing with them. You are dealing with them. Suppose you go in a classroom as a teacher, you have different kinds of students in a classroom. Some students whom you give assignments, they do them so quickly. You need not to go on reminding them. So your approach towards them will be surely different, because they are the ones who are willing to do, and they have also a capacity to do. They have both the things. The people who are under you are of different kinds. We normally say that we have got 4 different types of people under us. One, who are able to do, and they are also willing to do. Ability and willingness. This is very important. Ability of a person and willingness of a person. If a person has got both ability and willingness, then it's fine. You need not to go on reminding him. In comparison to this, we have a person who is neither able nor is willing. There is a possibility of that as well. A person is neither able to do the things nor is he willing to do the things. So he is lacking in both. So here you require to be a little bit, I can say, assertive. You have to be, in order to make the person to mend his approach. Likewise, we may have people who are able, but they are not willing. That's a problem. Ability is in them. You have to inspire them. They have not a willingness. Ability is there. They know what to do, but they're not willing to do. And then in comparison, we have guys, they may not be able, but they are willing. A more of an inspiration is required. That they are not able, but they are willing to do. We have to tell them what to do, how to do. You're situational. You are acting as a situational person. A leader has to be situational as well, looking at whom he is dealing with and how should they be dealt with. That's pretty important. That's very important. So shall we continue?
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, sir. Actually, we have to move for our next session. Our next expert has joined with us.
Okay. In case there are any clarifications,
Sir, if there are some questions, I will take from the participant and share on your WhatsApp, sir.
Okay, sir.
If you could permit, sir. Shall we conclude, sir, if you could permit?
Yes, sir. That's fine.
On behalf of Malviya Mission Teacher Training Center, Sant Garge Baba, Amravati University, Radha Devi Goenka, Srimati Radha Devi Goenka College for Women, Akola, and all the learned participants, I extend my sincere thanks to Professor Nazir, sir, for such an important and wonderful session towards this academic leadership and the governance in the higher education institution. So really, your inputs are very valuable, and that will be very useful in our career pathway. We definitely assured you will implement your inputs through our different career pathway from in our institution, in our departments, and ultimately for contributing to our country. With this, I once again extend my sincere thanks to you on behalf of all the participants for your precious time and thought-provoking session here. And with the kind consent of Professor Nazir, sir, I would like to declare that this particular session will be over here. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, all the participants.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Hello, Professor Rafi, sir.
Yes, Dr. I'm there. We can start.
Yeah, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And we are extremely sorry for we have taken your 10 minutes more, sir.
No issue.
So, friends, good afternoon once again. As I have already told you that the today's session have been split into the two different parts. But before starting the session, I would like to request all the participants to start their cameras because rather than the monologue session will be going in the dialogue manner. So, friends, the role of higher education towards the to contribute our great country and ultimately the society. And number of things are there with regards to with this session, and we will discuss with these important aspects. And one of the vertical of this flagship program with one of the eminent and scholarly personality, Professor Dr. Mohammad Abdul Rafi sir. Sir, first of all, I extend my warm welcome to you to this flagship program and particular to this session. Friends,
Thank you.
Professor Rafi sir is an associate professor and the deputy director at this Malvi Mission Teacher Training Center at Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, situated in the Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, Maharashtra. With the proven experience of 2.5 decades in this field of higher education, Professor Rafi sir has instrumentally engaged in the teaching, learning, academic leadership, and particularly the faculty development. He has designed and executed the numerous orientation, faculty induction, refresher, short-term faculty development, short-term programs, and these particularly the NEP orientation and sensitization program. And across that, he has trained the thousands of faculty, research, and the other key stakeholders across the country through the different programs. He is instrumentally engaged in the teaching, in the field of commerce and management. He is a recognized supervisor. He is a recognized supervisor for the PhD program, and under his able guidance, 6 scholars have been completed their PhD degree. He is editor and the reviewer of the different international journals that had international journals. He is a prolific scholar and being and have been published more than hundreds of research articles in the reputed national as well as the international journal. Beyond the academics, Professor Rafi sir has internationally engaged with the different projects that has been widely recognized by the government of India and the different eminent of institutions. Friends, we are luckily fortunate to get such kind of diverse diverse personality who is having not only the national but also the international exposure towards this higher role of higher education institutions. So without taking too much time, sir, I once again extend my warm welcome to request you to please start with your session. Participant, before starting the session, I would like to request again you to please open your cameras because the session is going in a very dialogue manner rather than the monologue. So I will request all the participants to please open your cameras first, then we can start. Kindly open your videos first. Yes, sir, you can please start, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Ankit, for sparing your time and saying a few good words for me. Indeed, I'm really thankful to the director, Professor Atiq Ahmed, sir, for inviting me to this platform of NEP orientation and sensitization course. And also, I'm thankful to my friend, Mr. Ankit ji, for always being on the toes for the upliftment of the teaching community. So again, I would request all the participants to open the camera. सभी सहभागी मित्रों से निवेदन है कि अपने कैमरा ओपन करें. सभी लोग कैमरा ओपन करें. You see that, friends, the NEP orientation and sensitization program, NEP, which was originally launched way back in the year 2020, and 6 years have been passed since this NEP 2020 has been launched by Government of India, and especially our state Maharashtra, which has adopted NEP for both UG and PG. And now things have stabled. We have been acquainted with what actual NEP is and how the reforms uh, are there in higher education and what changes are to be accepted in the higher education. And also recently we have got Viksit Bharat Adhishasan Bill 2025, which has been now just a day before it has been circulated to around uh, various ministries and various parliamentary members have given their suggestions, and still it is in a process where Viksit Bharat Adhishasan Bill 2026-25 has been launched by the Government of India, and this bill will merge the University Grants Commission, AICT, and NCRT, and there will be a single regulator of higher education in our country. And you see, friends, that this Viksit Bharat Adhishasan Bill, or a single regulator bill, it was the recommendation of the first education policy established in our country way back in the year 1965. And since then, many recommendations were there for this single regulator of the higher education. Because you see that for pharmacy, we have some body, for engineering, we have some body, for education, B.Ed and M.Ed, we have some bodies, we have UGC, we have AICT, we have NAC, we have NBA, sorry. So the higher education system in our country, which was very diverse in various bodies and regulators. So that have created a hurdle in this past 60, 70 years of the growth of higher education in our country. So now, as we have entered into NEP 2020, and again NEP 2020 have recommended that there should be a single regulator. So in the year December 2025, the current government has brought Viksit Bharat Adhishasan Bill. And I hope that in the coming 2 to 3 years, you will see that UGC will be closed, AICT will be closed, and there will be a single regulator. So what was the need of these changes in the higher education? Be it NEP 2020, be it a Viksit Bharat Bill, be it a skill-based education. What was the need for the changes? Can anyone tell me? इसकी जरूरत क्या थी? हमारा तो सब सिस्टम अच्छे से चल रहा था, but what was the reason that these sudden changes were required and these changes were implemented into our higher education system? Can anyone tell me?
Yes, sir. May I?
Why the changes were required?
हेलो
Yes, ma'am. Tiwari, ma'am.
सर, पहले क्या था, थेरोटिकल नॉलेज ज्यादा था, प्रैक्टिकल नॉलेज बहुत ज्यादा कम था। तो एनईपी में प्रैक्टिकल नॉलेज पे ज्यादा स्ट्रेस दिया हुआ है एज कंपेयर टू थेरोटिकल
Very
पर्सपेक्टिव।
nice. Good, good, good. It is a valid point where you see that previously the stress on skill-based education, vocational education was very less. And again, to add to that point, I would like to highlight in front of you, friends, that the developed countries, especially the European countries, have got 35% of the employment through vocational education. यानी कि उन्होंने वोकेशनल एजुकेशन पर स्ट्रेस दिया तो उनके पॉपुलेशन की 35% आबादी को एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिला। एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के थ्रू वो लोगों ने अपने बिजनेस डेवलप किए। So it is a very valid point that it is a need of our for skill-based education and vocational education. So any other thing, why these sudden changes were required by our government, like the NEP 2020 or Niti Aayog or skill skill-based education, why these things were required? Can anyone tell me?
So, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Sir, actually, our education system was based on Macaulay. I think there was one educationist. Right from means before independence, whatever education system we have, so we were following those system. Still, time to time, our ministry has changed, made some changes, but still, we were not focusing on skilled. And right now we are living in the age of chat GPT, or we can say that artificial intelligence. Still, if we were follow previous education system, so it was not possible to generate employment. So current education system is based on employability aspect.
Yeah, very true. That the traditional education system lagged employability. It is a very valid point where you see, friends, that uh, when it comes to a country like India, where we are at the top when it comes to the number of people living in our country, population-wise, we have overcome China, and we are the world's most populated country. And you see that when it comes to population, uh, we will see that it is a disadvantage. But you see that when we compare this thing with China, China has always taken their population as an advantage. And what currently the government is doing the same thing. They are thinking that this population is an advantage. You see, because in the coming 15, 20 years, 20, 25 years, you will see that India will have one of the youngest population in the entire globe. दुनिया की सबसे यंग आबादी जो रहेंगी वो भारत देश में रहेंगी. And you see that the Indian population, young population, will serve the entire globe. Not only India, but the entire globe. Be it Gulf countries, European countries, Latin American countries, these countries are getting old. जापान तो ऑलरेडी ओल्ड हो चुका है. जापान के अंदर स्कूल्स बंद हो चुके हैं. जापान के अंदर सिटीज बंद हो रहे हैं, गांव बंद हो रहे हैं. And this scenario will be continued in the European countries also. So there was a need for change. That's why the higher education needs to change, because in future you will have the youngest population in the entire globe, where you need to upgrade the skill. You need a people, or you need a people where they should not be only doctors or engineers, but they should be a global thinkers. They should know the global context. They should know how the globe work. So critical thinking needs to be upgraded, and that's why this NEP 2020 was incorporated. Gupta ma'am, my screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's moving.
Yes, sir. It's visible. Yeah, it's moving.
It's
Yeah.
moving. Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay.
So you see, friends, that the topic which I have chosen today, that is NEP 2020 and higher education. You see that it is one of the most important thing, where how the current policy streamlines the higher education, and how higher education system gives or contributes towards the society. So you see, friends, that before going into the lecture, I would like to quote Swami Vivekananda here, where he has told that education should be a holistic and man-making, life-giving, and character building. Education can unlock all the doors for a progress. A nation advances in proportion to education and intelligence spread among the masses. You see that typically our higher education system is divided into these four phases. The first phase of our higher education is also called as foundation phase, post-independence foundation phase, in which we have Radha Krishna Commission. Radha Krishna Commission. You see that in Radha Krishna Commission, which was uh, formerly known as University Education Commission at that time, it was established way back in the year 1948, 4th November 1948, and was chaired by distinguished philosopher and the future president of that time, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishna. And you see that few recommendation was made by this commission, in which establishment of University Grants Commission to supervise university and allocate funds, which eventually was established in the year 1953. Then structural reform, that is 12 years pre-university education system and 3 years bachelor degree course. That is 10 plus 2 plus 3 was first recommended by the Radha Krishna Commission. Also rural university, then English as a medium of instruction, then professional and moral education and women's education was recommended by Radha Krishna Commission. Then in the year 1956, University Grants Commission was established, and till the date, University Grants Commission is in existence. Then we had in the year 1964, we had a Kothari Commission. You see that Kothari Commission, which was established in the year 1964, officially it was known as National Education Commission, was an ad hoc body appointed by Government of India to formulate a coherent national pattern of education, chaired by Dr. Daulat Singh Kothari, then the chairman of UGC. And it was the first commission of India's history to review the entire higher education system. You see that the commission was formed in the year 14 July 1964, and they have submitted their recommendation on June 29, 1966. And you see the title of the report was Education and National Development. And you see that the core recommendation of this commission was again 10 plus 2 plus 3 pattern, then again free and compulsory education for children aging from 16 to 14 years. Also, three language formula was recommended firstly in this Kothari Commission, where mother tongue, regional language, Hindi or English, to promote the national integration. Then common school system, more stress on science and mathematics, and 6% of GDP should be spent on education, which was recommended by Kothari Commission in the year 1964. And also it has emphasized on vocational education. Then we had the first education policy, In the year 1968, we had the first education policy of Government of India. The first comprehensive education policy of independent India during the tenure of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, which was based on the recommendation of Kothari Commission. And its primary goal was to restructure the education system to foster national development and social integration. Again, this commission has recommended free and compulsory education, then three language formula, uniform education structure, that is 10 plus 2 plus 3, status and training of teacher. You see, the training of teacher was first recommended by the education policy of 1968. And also service condition, academic freedom of the teachers were also been there. Then promotion of Indian language, science education and research, agriculture and industry, investment of education, that is again 6% of GDP was recommended to spend, then equalization of educational opportunities. So this first phase was also called as post-independence foundation phase, which started in the year 1948 from Radhakrishna Commission and ended in the year 1968 with the first comprehensive education policy. Then after a gap of more than 20 years, 18 years, we had the second national education policy. So you see here in the year 1986, we had the second national education policy. Again, you see that 10 plus 2 plus 3 formula was recommended in this second education policy. Then also one of the interesting operation was launched in this second education policy, which was also called as Operation Blackboard, which was launched in the year 1987. And this phase drive aimed to improve primary school infrastructure by providing at least two large all-weather room essential teaching material like blackboard, maps and chart, and at least two teachers, one of whom must be a woman. Then Navodaya Vidyalayas were also recommended in this education policy. Then education equality for women, SC, ST and minority. Then again, IGNO was strengthened in this education policy. Originally, IGNO University was established in the year 1985, but it was strengthened in this second education policy of 1986. Then teachers training, that is establishment of District Institute of Education and Training for pre-service, in-service teacher. Then early childhood care, examination reforms, then modernization and use of technology were also recommended in this education policy. Again, 6% of GDP should be spent on higher education or education was recommended in this second education policy of 1986. Then in the year 1992, we have Program of Action, which was a comprehensive roadmap designed to update India's NEP of 1968, which was the recommendation of Jandharna Reddy Committee. And you see that the key feature of this program of action, POA 1992, was universal elementary education, aimed of universal enrollment and retention of children up to the age of 14 with goal of achieving free and compulsory education by the year 2000. Then expansion of Operation Blackboard extended the scheme to the upper primary level, ensuring school had at least 3 classroom and 3 teachers. Also, education for equality for SC, ST, women and minority. Then vocationalization of education aimed to cover 10% of higher secondary education student with vocational courses by the year 1995 and increasing 25% 2000 to enhance employability. Then propose of strengthening district institute of education and training was also recommended in this program of action. Then in the year 2005, we have National Education Commission. You see that National Education Commission uh, was a high-level advisory body established in the year 2005 by the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, and it was aimed to transform the India's higher education into knowledge society to meet the requirement of 21st century. And you see that it was chaired by Sam Pitoda. Then duration was 3 years from 2005 to 2008. Through it, continued submitting report through 2009 and eventually was dissolved in the year 2000 July 2009. It focus area in uh, its focus area includes access in improving literacy, libraries and network, reforming the education, school education, vocational education, higher education system, and has also recommended National Knowledge Network, National Translation Mission. Then RTE was recommended by this National Knowledge Commission. So this was the second phase, which is also called as economic liberalization and expansion phase. So these were the two strong foundation of post-independence higher education of our country. Then in the year 2009, we had National Committee on Higher Education, a committee to advise on renovation, rejuvenation of education. And you see that it was chaired by a psychiatrist, Professor Yashpal. The committee was originally tasked with reviewing the function of UGC and AICTE, but expanded its scope to address deep-seated aberration in the entire higher education system. So the key recommendation include National Commission of Higher Education and Research. This body intended to replace existing regulators like UGC, AICTE and NCTE, and also multidisciplinary learning. It advocates the silos between disciplines, encourage universities to move away from single discipline isolation like separate engineering management institution towards integrating multidisciplinary education. Then abolition of deemed university status, autonomy for IIT and IIM were also given in this thing, and also curriculum reform, undergraduate focus was also there. So this was the phase that is also called as globalization and reform phase, in which we have in the year 2009 Committee on Higher Education, and also in the year 2013 we have रूसा, जिसे हम अभी पीएम ऊषा बोलते हैं. बहुत सारे कॉलेजेस आपने देखे होंगे कि कॉन्फ्रेंसेस और प्रोजेक्ट्स दे रहे हैं. दैट इज रूसा, PM Usha. So this phase is called as globalization and reform phase. Then the fourth phase, that is contemporary transformation phase, in which we have National Education Policy 2020. All are witness for the same. So you see that a country like India, which is also a third largest higher education system in the entire globe, we have around 1,200 university, 45,000 colleges, 12,000 standalone institution, nearly 5 crore students and 16 lakh teachers, which makes us the third largest higher education system in the entire globe. Only China and America are above us. So we are the third largest higher education system in the entire globe. But still, there is a imbalance in inflow and outflow. Like I would like to highlight a pre-COVID data where you see that nearly 3,75,000 Indian students have gone abroad to take the higher education. So why? What is the reason? Can anyone tell me? Why our students are going outside to take higher education? On one hand, we are telling that we are the third largest higher education system in the entire globe. But on the other hand, we can see that maximum number of students are going outside for higher education. What is the reason? Can anyone tell me?
So once again, sir, good afternoon. So, sir, I think they are not getting as per their expectation, and maybe our government is also not able to provide the that much salary.
Huh. Expectations are there of the young students, but you see that there are several factors like employability, updated curriculum, then job opportunities, research collaboration. These are institutions are lagging behind. हम बहुत पीछे हैं ये चीज में जहां पर हमारे पास में आउटडेटेड सिलेबस है, आउटडेटेड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज स्टूडेंट्स को बहुत कम मिलती हैं. So this is not the case when we are talking about some foreign countries. They are giving the updated syllabus. They are giving the employability. They are having good infrastructure. They are providing scholarship also. So this is the reason for the inflow and outflow. You see, friends, that when it comes to uh, this universities in our country, you see that there are around 522 general, 177 technical, 63 agriculture, 66 medical, 23 law and 12 Sanskrit and 11 language universities. And you see the top 8 state in terms of highest number of colleges in India are UP, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, and Gujarat. These are the top state in terms of highest number of colleges. और जैसे ही यहाँ पर कॉलेजेस की संख्या ज्यादा है, तो वैसे ही स्टूडेंट्स की संख्या भी ज्यादा रहेगी. You see that majority of colleges are located in rural area. 10% of colleges are for exclusively for female. कॉलेज डेंसिटी का भी एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग फिगर है ये स्लाइड में। सेकंड नंबर का जो पॉइंट है उस पर आप गौर करिए थोड़ा, कि कॉलेज की जो डेंसिटी है दैट इज नंबर ऑफ कॉलेजेस पर लाख एलिजिबल पॉपुलेशन। मान लो कि जो एलिजिबल पॉपुलेशन है 18 से 23 साल की जो पॉपुलेशन है, अगर वो 1 लाख है, तो बिहार में वहां पर 1 लाख पॉपुलेशन के लिए सिर्फ 7 कॉलेजेस है। देर आर ओनली 7 कॉलेजेस फॉर एलिजिबल पॉपुलेशन एंड इट इज 59 इन कर्नाटक। यानी कि बिहार की परिस्थिति ऐसी है कि 14,000 का जो हमारे पास में एक कॉलेज के अंदर 14,000 विद्यार्थी देना पड़ेंगे बिहार के अंदर। और वैसे ही हमारा जो कर्नाटका का है वहां पर 1700 से 1800 बच्चे एक कॉलेज में आ सकते हैं। ये देर आर अराउंड 59 कॉलेजेस फॉर द एलिजिबल पॉपुलेशन एज कंपेयर टू ऑल इंडियन एवरेज ऑफ 30। You see that only 2.7% of colleges run PG program. You see that 78% of the colleges are privately managed, and 65% of colleges are private unaided and 13% private aided. Andhra Pradesh and Telangana have about 80% of private unaided colleges. Uttar Pradesh have 78% and Chhattisgarh, Chandigarh has 8%. When it comes to the gross enrollment ratio, again, it is also improving. It is around 27%. Majority students are enrolled for arts, humanities, social science, followed by science, commerce, and engineering. At PG level, you see that maximum number of students are enrolled in engineering and technology, followed by science. At PG level, students are enrolled in social science stream, comes under number 2. As I have told you कि यूपी बिहार महाराष्ट्र यूपी महाराष्ट्र में स्टूडेंट ज्यादा है तो कॉलेजेस ज्यादा है तो स्टूडेंट की स्ट्रेंथ भी ज्यादा रहने वाली। Foreign students come from Nepal, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and Sudan. Male-female ratio is also very good. You see that the male-female ratio is around 42 to 58. We have allotted more BA degree as compared to any other one. BA have 20 lakhs degree followed by BSc 10 lakhs and BCom 9 lakhs. Again, friends, this is one of the interesting slides. Kindly have an attention here. आप देखिए कि हमारे देश में, भारत देश में आजादी के बाद में सिर्फ 30 यूनिवर्सिटीज थे और वो बढ़ते बढ़ते 50 सालों में सिर्फ 250 हुए थे। लेकिन आप देखिए पिछले 20 सालों में हमारी स्ट्रेंथ जो है 250 यूनिवर्सिटीज से 1200 यूनिवर्सिटीज पर चली गई है। और वैसे ही कॉलेजेस की संख्या है कि कॉलेजेस की संख्या जो 578 भारत की आदर्श आजादी के बाद में हमें देखने को मिलते थे, वो बढ़ते बढ़ते सिर्फ 10,000 तक की आई थी। बट 10,000 से आज लगभग 45,000 चली गई। Bangalore urban district tops when it comes to the maximum number of colleges, followed by Jaipur, Hyderabad, Pune, Pragyaj, Rangareddy, Bhopal, Nagpur, and Guntur. 65% are private aided college, 13% are unaided college, and 22% are private colleges. Gross enrollment is also one of the interesting topic here. You see that post-independence we had only 0.4 of gross enrollment, which has increased to only 20% in the year 2011-12, and now the gross enrollment has increased, that is around 28%. Again, an eye-opener through this slide to the teacher working in MBA colleges, engineering colleges. You see that when it comes to the enrollment in state public universities, it is very less increase. It is only 21%. But when we compare this state private university with the state public university with the state private university, so you will see that there is a jump or increase of 500%. 500% की ग्रोथ हुई है पिछले 20 सालों में. So you see, friends, that when it comes to some of the major problems currently faced by the higher education system in our country is limited teacher institution autonomy, then development of cognitive skills, early specialization and streaming of students into the narrow area. Lack of peer review research, ineffective regulatory system, large affiliating university resulting in low standard and undergraduate education. So what we can do, we can move towards institutional autonomy, we can move towards faculty autonomy, we can revamp curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and the student support for enhanced student experience. Also, we are near to establish National Research Foundation to fund outstanding peer-reviewed research and to actively seed research in the universities and colleges. Governance of higher education by high qualified independent board having academic and administrative responsibility. Then we had a single regulator. Now, as already I have told you that Viksit Bharat Adhishashan Bill 1047 has been brought in Parliament and it is in the final phase for the meeting and for implementation. So there will be a single regulator. So what is the Indian scenario of the universities in India? You see that India spends only 8% of their GDP on higher education, which is very less as compared to 3% of US, 1.3% to UK, and 1.5% of the China. Also, there are too many regulatory bodies. Again, giving the example of the one of the private universities, that is Harvard University, you see that a budget of Harvard University way back in the year 2014, it was around 30,000 crores. And you see that our higher education, overall higher education budget is around 26,000 crore in the year 2018. Affiliating system. Again, it is also killing us where affiliating system is killing our country And again, till the year 2035, the entire affiliation system will be closed. Gross enrollment will be increased to 50% in the coming years. We have multiple entry and exit. Also, you see that 6% of GDP has been recommended to be spent on the higher education. Then we have academic bank of credit also. Then we had NEP, which focuses on critical thinking, discovery, inquiry, discussion, and teaching based on analysis and holistic learning methods. Then by the year 2040, all the universities will become multidisciplinary institution, each of which have 3,000 or more students. Then college affiliation system will be completely phased out, and also one multidisciplinary in every higher education institution. Then special education zone for disadvantaged region is also focused in gender inclusion fund is also recommended. Then also Bal Bhavans. Then 4-year degree program is also recommended. Then also for making student prepare for future pandemic situation, online academic will be promoted on a large scale. Then the same list of accreditation and regulation will be used for both private and public universities. Then you see, friends, that NEP also stressed on internationalization. You can go internationally, you can build your brand internationally, you can have a collaboration, you can have a workshop, conference at international level, you can have student exchange program, you can have faculty exchange program. So this internationalization can be achieved of NEP 2020. Again, the students coming from foreign countries, they need to be given friendly treatment as our mentors. Also, safe, positive, and holistic experience. Then bridge gap courses offering in local languages. Short-term non-degree niche courses to create global perception and about our core competency in yoga, philosophy, Ayurveda, health, and Sanskrit. As already I have told you that as we will be one of the youngest population in the entire globe, then you see, friends, that when we are talking about global citizen approach, critical thinking, communication, technology, cross-cultural awareness, and adaptability should be there. Also, there is a stress on Indian language system. Is anyone in the group who has implemented IKS in their college or institution? They can unmute and tell. So there are several courses of IKS available, right from chemistry to commerce, physics to mathematics. Then we have academic exchange program, research collaboration with foreign faculty members, foreign institution. Also, you can brand build abroad of yours, in which you will take a regular exercise, will show the strength to the students. Alumni Connect can be also there. You can have an Office of International Affairs. Also, friends, the higher education institution are encouraged to formulate strategies for collaboration with higher education institution. So what are the benefits and attribute to the higher education system? The benefit includes framing intercultural and international curriculum, providing international exposure to the student through mobility, then extended uh, international competency of the students, then developing international institution and branding. Monitoring and assessment can be done of this internationalization phase of your institution. You see that what are the challenges of higher education in India. You see that countries like USA and UK are far ahead of India in education infrastructure, and the basis of internationalization of education is economic and political imperative, while India is yet to establish social justice. University in India are still teaching decade-old curriculum, along with lack of autonomy in university, lack of government funds, prevent international students from being attracted to India. Then we have few schemes like General Cultural Scheme establishment by ICSSR, then Global Initiative for Academic Networks, Connect to India program, Study in India program, and CV Raman Fellowship. So you see that global initiative for academic network, which increases the engagement between scientists, entrepreneurs, and students from all over the world. Then Connect to India program is an initiative where Ministry of Education, under which foreign students are encouraged. Then Study in India, it is also an initiative of Ministry of Education. It aims to attract students from 34 countries from Africa, West Asia, and South Asia. Then we have C.V. Raman Fellowship, in which we have top promote scientist education between India and Africa, besides several bilateral agreements such as UK and Asian have been signed, which will promote international education in India. So, to conclude my lecture, I would like to highlight here that we should focus three language instruction in school, then encourage the use of vernacular language, promote the study of Indian classical language, strengthen teachers' education, increase the use of technology in education and improve assessment and evaluation procedures, and make school education free and compulsory for all the children from age 6 to 14. Introducing a grading system that not require marks or percentage. Implement a standardized curriculum across all schools in India. and remove 10 plus 2 education system and implement 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, and establish a National Education Commission to oversee the implementation of NEP 2020. So now this session is open for discussion. Still, we have 20 minutes left. So we can have a discussion for another 10 to 15 minutes. It can be in any language, Marathi, Hindi, English. In all these three languages, I am very much comfortable.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Rafi sir. Participants, the forum is open for discussion. आपके अगर कुछ प्रश्न हो, कुछ क्यूरीज हो या और कुछ ऑब्जर्वेशंस हो तो you can please note down here. Please anyone.
Even if you have some suggestions your side, you can tell it in a short period of time.
Yes. किसी के कोई प्रश्न है?
सर मेरा एक क्वेश्चन था आपसे, आई एम ऑडिबल?
हाँ, या मैडम प्लीज।
जी मैडम, ऑडिबल।
सर आपने एनईपी में 3 इयर्स या 4 इयर्स का जैसे कि, तो 1 ईयर या सेकेंड ईयर में अगर बच्चा एग्जिट करता है एजुकेशन से,
हाँ,
तो उसे एम्प्लॉयमेंट के लिए कुछ चांसेस हो सकते हैं?
हो सकते
जैसे
हैं
कि हम
मैडम।
कहते हैं कि
देखो
1 ईयर 2 इयर्स
देखो
कंप्लीट होने के बाद में हम उसे
देखो ये दोनों भी चीजें हैं इसमें। इसके देखो, कोई भी चीज के दो दो पहलू रहते हैं। एक उसका एडवांटेज रहता है, एक उसका डिसएडवांटेज रहता है। अब जहां पर आप मल्टीपल एंट्री एग्जिट की बात कर रहे हो, वो ड्रॉप आउट को इंक्रीज कर रहा है। यानी कि स्टूडेंट फर्स्ट ईयर में अगर लेकर चला जाएगा तो उसे सर्टिफिकेट मिलेगा, सेकंड ईयर में जाएगा तो
हाँ।
डिप्लोमा मिलेगा, और 3 ईयर में उसको प्रॉपर डिग्री मिलेंगी, और चौथे साल में उसको एक ऑनररी डिग्री मिलेंगी, जिससे को उसको पीजी 1 साल से करके वो डायरेक्टली पीएचडी में एडमिशन लेता है। तो इसके अपने एडवांटेजेस भी है और इसके अपने डिसएडवांटेजेस भी है। डिसएडवांटेज तो ये है कि ये प्रमोट कर रहा है कि आप ड्रॉप आउट बढ़ा दें, और दूसरा इसका जो एडवांटेज है वो ये है कि रिटर्न स्टूडेंट फिर से भी इनरोल कर सकता है। जैसे कि फाइनेंशियल परिस्थितियों के कारण अगर कोई स्टूडेंट बाहर निकल जाता है, कोई फीमेल स्टूडेंट है, वो शादी या दूसरे कारणों के थ्रू बाहर निकल जाती है, बाद में वो री इंटर कर सकती है एक पर्टिकुलर टाइम पीरियड के अंदर। तो इसके
अच्छा,
एडवांटेजेस भी है और डिसएडवांटेजेस भी है।
अगर वो सेकेंड ईयर में अगर क्लोज करता है, एग्जिट करता
हाँ,
है, तो मतलब मेरा ये कहना है कि अगर सपोज वो मार्केट में अगर जाता है कुछ करने के लिए, तो उसे अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगी क्या?
एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी
क्योंकि
कम
बच्चा उससे,
रहेंगी।
हाँ, एज ए एम्प्लॉयमेंट के हिसाब से।
नहीं नहीं,
हाँ,
कम रहेंगी, कम रहेंगी। यू सी दैट एज ए
कम रहे क्योंकि
एम्प्लॉयर।
बच्चे पूछते हैं ना वैसा ही।
हाँ नहीं, एज ए एम्प्लॉयर देखिए, अगर आप ही एम्प्लॉयर अगर हो मैम, तो आप देखोगे कि यू विल गिव अ फर्स्ट प्रेफरेंस टू अ पर्सन हु इज अ ग्रेजुएट। You will not prefer a person who is having a certificate or a diploma. Always you will prefer a graduate, a degree holder.
Yes, anyone else? और किसी का कोई
सर एक
क्वेश्चन?
माझा एक सेकंड क्वेश्चन होता,
हो
बोला ना,
मॅडम
मध्ये
प्लीज
इथं
प्लीज।
complete झालंय.
बोला ना।
मुझे पूछना था सर से कि अगर हम कॉलेज लेवल पे अगर स्टार्टअप सेल एस्टेब्लिश कर सकते हैं, तो उसके लिए हमें कुछ करना, क्या करना पड़ेगा? जैसे कि बच्चे के लिए हम कुछ स्टार्टअप शुरू करने वाले इन फ्यूचर, तो उसके लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के रिलेटेड?
मैडम आप देखिए कि आप सीएसआर फंड्स के लिए जा सकती हो। कॉर्पोरेट
अच्छा।
सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फंड्स के लिए। अभी हमारे यूनिवर्सिटी में सीएसआर के थ्रू हमें बजाज इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर मिला है। बजाज कंपनी जो है ना, उन्होंने हमें
हाँ
इंक्यूबेशन
हाँ।
सेंटर दिया है। उसके साथ साथ हमारे
अच्छा।
पास में एक एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप डेवलपमेंट सेल औरंगाबाद इलेक्ट्रिकल बोलकर एक कंपनी है, उन्होंने दिया है। तो ऐसे कुछ
अच्छा।
सीएसआर फंड्स के थ्रू आप एक स्टार्टअप सेल अपने इंस्टीट्यूट में स्टार्ट कर सकते हो।
अच्छा।
हमारा जो बजाज इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर है, लगभग हर साल नियर अबाउट 65 से 70 स्टार्टअप्स निकलते हैं वहां से। सक्सेसफुल स्टार्टअप्स की
अच्छा।
मैं बात कर रहा हूँ।
ओके।
Sir, I would like to add here.
यस सर।
Dr. Reshma madam, you can approach to the University Incubation Center also. आप यहाँ
अच्छा।
यूनिवर्सिटी इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर में भी आ सकती है। देखिए, एक इसका एक पीएससी है और प्री इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर्स जो है, एक्चुअली यूनिवर्सिटी ऑलरेडी फ्रेम द रेगुलेशन, और मुझे लगता है कि ये शायद आप थोड़ा अनअवेयर है उस प्री इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर्स रेगुलेशन से।
यस सर, मैं ये साइड में अभी नई हुई, इसलिए मुझे पता नहीं था,
हाँ,
मैंने
तो
पूछ लिया।
हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी ने एक
हाँ।
प्री इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर इस्टेब्लिश करने के लिए थ्रू दी रेगुलेशन सभी कॉलेजेस को डायरेक्शन दिए हुए हैं मैम। ठीक है,
ओके
तो आप वो प्री
ओके।
इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर आपके सेल में आपके कॉलेज में इस्टेब्लिश कीजिए। आईआईसीएस भी सेंटर उसी के साथ जो है लिंक करना होगा। और वट एवर में भी द स्टूडेंट वहां आपके पास जो कोई भी रजिस्टर्ड होते हैं, तो दैट विल बी
हम्म।
द स्टार्टअप ऑफ अमरावती यूनिवर्सिटी एंड दैट पर्टिकुलर कॉलेज इन द कोलैबोरेशन। और हम लोगों के पास जो भी सीड मनी यहाँ अवेलेबल है, डेफिनेटली द स्टार्टअप भी उसका नर्चर होगा, और जो भी सीड मनी अवेलेबल है, बिकॉज वी हैव टू 2 and 3 डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ सीड मनी। एक महाराष्ट्र गवर्नमेंट से इनोवेशन सोसाइटी के द्वारा प्राप्त हो रहा है, एक स्टार्टअप इंडिया का सीड फंड है, एंड देन आफ्टर आवर यूनिवर्सिटी हैज आल्सो मेक द प्रोविजन इन इट्स बजट 10 crore rupees विल बी देयर फॉर द सीड फंडिंग टू द स्टूडेंट्स। अभी आप लोगों को अगर ख्याल में होगा, जो ये हमारी आविष्कार या जो अन्वेषण वाली कॉम्पिटिशन्स होती है, इसमें जो स्टूडेंट्स
हाँ हाँ।
हाँ, इसमें जो स्टूडेंट्स हमारे सिलेक्टेड होते हैं एट द स्टेट लेवल या द नेशनल लेवल अन्वेषण में, हम लोग उन लोगों का क्या करते हैं, एक्चुअली देयर प्रोजेक्ट्स विल बी कन्वर्टेड इनटू द पेटेंट्स, उन लोगों के पेटेंट्स में कन्वर्ट होते हैं, एंड दोज हु आर विलिंग और जिनके अंदर पोटेंशियल है, उन लोगों के हम प्रोजेक्ट्स क्या करते हैं, स्टार्टअप में कन्वर्ट करते हैं। ठीक है, तो
ओके
अगर ऐसा कोई भी स्टूडेंट है तो डेफिनेटली यू कैन कम टू द यूनिवर्सिटी एंड यूनिवर्सिटी विल हेल्प यू मैम।
ओके ओके, थैंक यू सर।
थैंक यू मैम। यस, एनीवन एल्स? किसी के कोई क्वेश्चंस हैं? Professor Rafi sir, I think there are no more questions.
Okay, okay, sir.
So shall we conclude, sir, if you could permit?
Yes, yes, yes.
So on behalf of Malviya Mission Teacher Training Center, Sant Gadge Baba, Amravati University, Srimati Radha Devi Goenka College for Women, Akola, and all our learned participants, I extend my sincere thanks to Professor Rafi sir for such a wonderful session. And during the 90 minutes of session, sir has elaborated our entire higher education system from inception to whatever may be the changes, drastic changes that has been happening in the today's in the in the present scenario. And really, sir, you have provided a gathered information in a very simplest way that will be that is very crucial information, because we have never read the data from the AISHE and such kind of data will be very crucial while we are competing with the other higher education institutions in the recent present scenario. A thought-provoking session and precious time here rather than Saturday and the holiday. You will be there always for us to support and guide the all entire participants. I would also extend my sincere thanks to all the participants, specifically Dr. Gupta madam, Dr. Reshma madam, Dr. Prasad sir, for the active interaction during this session. And with the kind consent of Professor Rafi sir, I would like to declare that this session will be over here. And participants, rather than Sunday, tomorrow there will be a holiday, there will be a no holiday. We will conduct the classes. I have shared the link in our WhatsApp group accordingly, so you can join tomorrow accordingly. Thank you everyone. Thank you Rafi sir.
Thank you, Ankit.